What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl JD here, back with another video. So today we're going to be diving into 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After. This is their tell-all. This is going to be part 2. If you guys would like to see part 1, I'm going to link that in the corner here, and let's just get right into it. So we kind of leave off with Gino and Jasmine talking about Gino's corn addiction, and she exposes him for watching videos from this girl that he used to talk to on a sugar baby website, and it looks kind of like a cheating situation, if I'm honest, because this is actually his ex-girlfriend according to both Gino and Jasmine. So that's a problem. So now Gino is kind of put on the spot. He's speechless and not really saying anything, and still thinks that he doesn't have a problem. Gino also, on top of this so-called addiction, he told Jasmine that she can't have any toys when it comes to, you know, having fun with herself. Even if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing to please her in the marriage, if she tries to please herself, that's a problem. Let's move on. Gino claims that back in Michigan that Jasmine was actually the one that decided to sleep in another bed, and he claims that he still kind of cuddles her and all that. And I can't remember who asked this question, but they were like, how exactly do you cuddle her if you guys aren't in the same bed? And I'm just like, yeah, exactly. I just don't see this marriage working out if they continue with the no sex thing. But Gino claims that he can't move forward because of all that arguing that happened in the past. But I honestly feel if they didn't have such severe intimacy issues that they probably wouldn't be arguing as much as they are. I feel like because she's not being loved, that's why Jasmine is lashing out even more at you. So after that, you know, they pack up for the day, they're done filming, and Jasmine goes to Gino and offers him this deal where they could just kind of forget about the whole sex thing, but just start with kind of going back on dates and just sleeping in the same bed at least. But Big Ed had some things to say about Liz's new man, Jason, after meeting him. I think he thought that Liz was just going to stay single and miserable and kind of wait around for him, to be honest. Just waiting around for him to take her back like she usually did. But after all that fluffery and the nice stuff that he said about Jason is when the true bitterness came out. He was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna put like $1,000 that within the next 6 months they're gonna break up and we're gonna be in a bar somewhere, and Jason's gonna be crying to me about his failed relationship with Liz. And I'm just like, yeah, sure, Ed, sure. So when they get back to the mansion, Angela and Michael, she's trying to be playful with him. She's throwing snowballs at him, talking about that's what you get for being mean. And I'm like, Angela, honey, are you being for real? Do we need to watch that entire first day of filming again? Not even just the tell-all, but before that, for years? I was baffled by that statement. Even if she was playing, like, no. No, Angela. Jason and Liz are walking around the house. They're holding hands, and he's out there talking about making babies and all this stuff. I'm just like, okay, good for you, Jason. You know, he seems to be in love with Liz. Liz seems to be vice versa in love with him. Obviously, it's a little awkward, you know, because Ed is sitting right there and he's watching all of this. But I mean, to be honest, I don't care, and I don't think Liz cares either. So good on her. Now, Angela comes down and she's talking about making drinks for everybody, but you could tell that everyone's still kind of walking on eggshells around her because they don't want her to just explode like she usually does. Now Gino claims that he and Jasmine are making progress, but the guys are looking at him like he's an alien. Your problem is that your wife actually wants to sleep with you? Like, that's a problem? Yeah, you're strange. Jasmine comes over with a drink for Gino, and Thais would ask them to do like a quick kiss to, you know, show some affection and all that. And it's really painful to watch, I'm not gonna lie. It was painful even before their whole, the intimacy issue and all that stuff. Even before this, watching them kiss each other was painful. After that, we get to Michael, who's chilling in the kitchen with Patrick and Lauren just to mix and mingle and get to know everyone. And he's claiming that he still loves loves Angela and all that. So Lauren pretty much just tells him to go to Angela and be nice to her and try to show her affection and stuff like that. Then we switch to Angela, who's complaining to Jason, who barely even knows her, about how Michael ignores her and says things to make her out to be the bad guy. And I've yet to hear Michael say any negative thing about Angela since he got there. He has not said anything. Even when Rob, I think, was asking him questions, he literally just said, you know, it's private. It's a private situation in our marriage. We need to work things out. And that's that. He didn't say anything. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what is Angela making up in her head that he's saying to these people in this house right now? Obviously, we've seen Angela like so many times badmouth Michael, but Michael never says anything in response, and it's just so hard to watch. Now Michael comes over to Angela just to say something nice, kind of like what Lauren was telling him to do, but Angela, not being normal, just starts yelling at him, and everyone's just looking around like, what in the heck is going on? Kobe is the one to come over to try to calm things down, and this woman just really has the audacity to say that Michael is the problem. The entire time she's yelling, he's the problem, he's the problem. And I'm just like, Angela, look at you right now. You look insane, but yet Michael is the problem? Michael is the problem. Okay.
Piece of keep smiling, mother. Keep smiling, you fraudulent mother.
She continues to yell, and she's just like, you know, I'm the nicest person in this house, but don't get into my ish with my husband. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, you the one that's yelling about your relationship, but yet you telling other people not to get in your business? Again, it's the delusion and craziness for me. Lauren, she even starts crying because she feels like it's her fault that Michael was getting yelled at. But Angela was literally the one throwing off all the energy in the house. And even Ashley was just like, yeah, it's just really bad juju. Kobe, he brings up to Michael, at least with regards to sex, because apparently Michael and Angela hadn't been intimate the entire time he was in the States. So because of that, you know, Kobe brings that up, but Michael's just looking at Kobe like, I know sex is not going to be the answer to our problems, because this woman is crazy and everybody knows it. Now let's move back to Ed, Liz, and Jason. Ashley tried to go over and comfort Ed a bit, but then Liz comes over and things kind of escalate from there, and Ed starts talking about how Liz has sloppy sex, and then Liz comes back with his corn search is stepsister, stepbrother, and I was shook. I was like, that is probably the best comeback I have seen on this show in a minute. Now we go back to Angela and Michael. So Angela, she's sitting next to Big Ed, and Ed starts calling Michael a scammer. Before he walks up behind him, of course, to try and speak with Angela, he's in the middle of calling Michael a scammer. And I'm like, no, Ed, say it with your chest. That's what you wanted to say, right? That he's a scammer, so say it to his face. He would say things, pretend to be this tough guy, but it's like, you know, deep down you are not that tough guy, so stop it. So Angela is just cussing up a storm because Michael decides to leave her in the conversation with Ed because she told him to leave. She told Michael, having a conversation with Ed, please dismiss yourself. So Michael, he goes over to Jason and Manuel. He's talking to them, and because he's talking to them, she's like getting mad, and I'm just like, but you just told him to leave. Like, what? Like, it's just insane. It escalates even further to another argument about Michael apparently saying that all women are stupid. And I'm like, I kind of doubt Michael said that like that. I think he meant you're stupid. I think he was trying to say that Angela is stupid. I don't think Michael would say that all women are stupid. I'm just going to be honest. She gets in his face and everyone's just honestly terrified about what she's gonna do. But they switch back to Ed having this weird conversation with, I think, Gino and Patrick, or I can't remember who was in the kitchen with him, but he was talking about how foreign women have such a deeper appreciation of America than actual American women living in America. And it was just such a random conversation. I was like, okay, Ed, like, go find yourself a foreign woman then. You already found one before, she rejected you. Like, Rob goes up to speak with Michael about all the craziness that they witnessed just now between him and Angela, and he flat out tells him that nobody deserves that. And for once, I agree with something that Rob had to say. Now, Michael keeps trying to bring up the fact that he cheated on Angela with the whole texting situation with that other woman a while back, but I think we literally forget sometimes that Angela had a whole relationship, or friendship she calls it, with this man in Canada, I think, and they would have FaceTime conversations. It wasn't even just chats. It was FaceTime, face-to-face, on the phone conversations with each other. I'm like, I mean, are we just gonna forget that? Like, okay. Regardless of him saying that, Rob just kind of says to him, you know, you really have to stand up for yourself at some point. And that's the only way you're going to know if this relationship is even able to be fixed or rectified or even worth fighting for. He would snap on occasion, but in terms of him actually standing up for himself and speaking and saying his piece, she has never even allowed him to say a word. And I'm just like, Michael, fight for yourself. Say what you want to say. Regardless of her talking, you talk over her and continue your conversation. Like, you say what you want to say. Day 2 of filming comes, and there's definitely something going on with Ed and Lauren after Lauren did an interview about not liking him. So Ed in turn then calls her a bottom feeder in another interview. Because of all this, Lauren kind of approaches Ed about that whole situation. Jasmine comes in and she basically repeats what Ed had said to everyone in the bus on the way to the studio. He said that he thought that Lauren was always trying to portray that she had this perfect marriage and she was just making Alexi's life miserable. But anyways, shortly after that is when Michael and Angela walk in, separately of course, and Kobe tries to keep everything calm between them, but again, Angela is screaming and hollering as per usual. Even Jasmine, who's also an occasional screamer, said it was over the top. Angela, she gets up, she grabs her stuff, she's all upset and mad, and she says she's going home. Now, which home she meant, I have no clue, but that's what she said. Michael tries to chase after her, but that doesn't really go anywhere either. She just continues to walk off with her stuff. So everyone just pretty much continues to get ready. So now everyone's back on set except for Angela and Michael. But we move to Emily and Kobe. So Sean asks Emily if 3 kids are going to be the cutoff for her, but Emily says that she could envision like 4 or 5. And everyone was just kind of concerned. They were like, are you sure? So she and Kobe have finally moved out of Emily's parents' house, and Kobe was so proud of that. You could see it all over his face. And they invited Emily's parents, Lisa and David, on. They talk about how everything's been since Kobe and Emily moved out of their house and how quiet everything is. But then Kobe starts getting really emotional, talking about how much Emily's dad did for them while he waited on his paperwork to start working. And that was pretty much like a year and some of waiting. So that was a pretty long time that her dad was just pretty much taking care of everything. And you can see that Kobe and Emily's dad, David, are pretty close, and her dad also starts to get a little bit emotional. So it's really nice to see them have a good relationship. So Valerie, Kobe's friend, tunes in from Cameroon, and he comes on basically talking about how he is not really that close with Kobe anymore because of some issues, and he goes into a little bit of detail. He brings up that Kobe is married to a white woman, Emily, and Angela, of course, butts in because she doesn't take too kindly to that since she's also a white woman with a black African man. So Ashley comes in and she says to Angela, you know, I don't think he meant any offense by saying that. Angela is just like, please be quiet. I'm trying to talk to Valerie. Like, why do you keep butting into the conversation? It's just, ooh, it was escalating, child. It was escalating. I personally don't think it was that deep. I think Angela just kind of took it there. But there's another argument that breaks out because Emily feels like Kobe could be doing more to teach their children French and the other languages that he knows from his home country, Cameroon. And because Emily says that, that's when Valerie kind of butts in and says that she's being suppressive. And I'm just like, dude, how? Because she wants him to do more to teach his kids the languages, it's a problem? Make that make sense. Like, she wants him to share more of his culture with their children and pass down more traditions, and that's an issue. She's being suppressive. I didn't understand that one. And that's when they start talking about their child that they're expecting. They don't actually know the gender at this time. They didn't know the gender of the baby yet. But if it was a boy, Kobe wanted to name him Valerie after his friend. And even Sean was just like, so you want to name your son Valerie after the person who does not like your wife? Like, it wasn't making sense. Shortly after that is when we get on the topic of Kobe's ex-girlfriend, and everyone kind of agrees that he should have been upfront about that relationship when he started dating Emily, because it did look kind of strange. Like, every time Emily would try to ask this man, like, did you end the relationship before we started dating? What was going on with that situation? It's like he keeps trying to finagle his way out of speaking about this relationship with this ex-girlfriend, period, because he knows he was playing both of them. He knows that, but he's trying not to appear as the bad guy. Apparently, he was even still sending this woman money. I believe this is when he was working in China. He was still sending her money while he was dating and seeing Emily and busy getting her pregnant. Like, anyways, Kobe goes even further to say that he initially just wanted to sleep with Emily and that was it. And her parents are sitting right there. And I'm just like, wow, I would not want to hear my son-in-law say that about my daughter. Like, even if that was in the past, like, keep that to yourself. I would not want you to be saying that with me present, okay? The last bit of this tell-all, we start talking about Angela and Michael's relationship just a little bit. Of course, there's probably going to be more that we see in part 3, but a little bit of their situation is talked about in this episode. So we had to take a very deep breath before getting to them, of course. But the first question was a softball about what Michael's first impressions were about America and what he likes. I think he said something about chicken nuggets and everyone's laughing, but Angela just keeps a stone cold face, like she is just so irritated with him right now. So after that is when Angela starts talking, and she actually makes a joke about him having wet dreams. And people were trying to figure out, like, should we laugh? Like, it was like a nervous laugh. Everybody laughed. Like, it was like, oh, I don't know how to respond to that one. She actually compliments Michael on being a good granddaddy to their grandkids, and she starts getting a little emotional talking about it, which is nice to see compared to all the screaming and yelling and cussing she was doing before. So apparently they haven't been intimate. Like I said earlier, they haven't been intimate since Michael has gotten to America, but it mainly stems from his cheating in the past, according to Angela, and I think Michael says the same thing, but it's like, I think it's more so because that's what she keeps saying is the reason that they're not being intimate. Now, this just honestly sets Angela off, and she starts tweaking big time. That's when they invite Angela's daughter Skylar to come on, and she says that since Michael's been in the US, that her mom hasn't been happy and she's miserable, and he doesn't show her any affection, and he's basically avoiding her at the house. But I'm like, I mean, did you not see how she's been acting and treating him since he landed? Like, let's be for real here. I would avoid her as well. I would avoid Angela at all costs. If we was living in the same house, I would find every possible reason to be outside of that house. I would only come in to go to sleep. I'm just saying, you have to be real with yourself as to why he would not want to show affection to Angela of all people. But that's going to be it for the tell-all part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's been really crazy ever since Angela obviously came onto the scene, and Michael's just standing there not really standing up for himself. So I'm hoping that he can actually stand up for himself this time around, because I feel bad for him, but at the same time, it's like I can only feel bad for you for so long. You know what I mean? It's like at some point you have to do something. You have to take back some type of power. But y'all let me know your thoughts on this tell-all part 2 down in the comments. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.